This computer, okay. Very good. So just a technical check. I'm recording. Very good. So welcome to senior meeting, orientation meeting. We're going to be talking about senior project, portfolio, internship, and graduation. Big deal. Just want to say that we are a public path to a creative career for all with more ambition than resources. So that being said, we're kind of the underdogs, but City Tech does a really good job of preparing you for the real world. And America loves the underdogs. So before we get started, I know COVID has affected all of us, and I'd just like to take 30 seconds in recognition, the City Tech family, to recognize you and family and friends who have been affected by COVID. So just 30 seconds of silence. So thank you for that recognition, and City Tech family, thank you for the acknowledgement of those people. So let's have some fun. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully you got outside, got a little bit of sunshine. If you haven't got out, after you get all this juicy information, go out, get some sun, some vitamin D, fill up those lungs with air. I want to thank Professor Neugebauer for being here. He's in the house. Whoop it up. Let's have some fun. Let's see some faces. Professor Woolley is here. How are you? And her cat, by the way, might make an appearance. Professor Getz is here. Thank you. We'll be talking about internships. Professor Geraldo is here. And who else is here? Professor Giuliani, are you here? Did I miss anybody? Well, welcome. And welcome to the students. So let's have some fun. Let's see what the agenda is. So right now I have Professor Neugebauer, who's better known as Professor Eli. Are you the first up? Is this going to present?
I might be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And yeah, Professor Neugebauer, but Neugebauer isn't always the easiest name to pronounce, so Professor Eli works just fine for me. When we eventually see each other in the hall over at the Pearl, you can say, "What's up, Professor Eli?" and that is a-okay. So I'm going to talk first about the portfolio. I actually see at least one person in here who's currently in my portfolio class this semester. I focus mostly on illustration, but I have a background in photo retouching, graphic design, product development, kind of a little bit, and I got my BFA in painting many moons ago. So I've got, you know, a wealth of experience to draw from. So here is, let's see, share my screen. Got this. So here is the senior orientation for fall 2021. That's coming up. Registration is going to be starting in a couple of weeks. The PLAN action from the school has already started as well. There will be opportunities outside of this orientation to get advisement from individual professors. All full-time faculty are also advisors. So if you have questions about overrides, about your audit, I assume at this point everybody knows how to check their audit and see how they're doing on their requirements. Things to look out for obviously are always writing intensive courses, making sure that you have all of your lower level courses, your upper level skills and strategies. But we're going to have a section on the BFA and graduation, so I'll let them answer those questions. So first thing is talking about the different sections of these courses. Portfolio has multiple sections and they are separated by specialty, as does senior project. Internship, you can choose any section. these are the sections that we have right now for portfolio, which I'm going to be talking about. We've got motion animation, illustration, graphic design, general, web, and advertising. One thing to remember when you are registering for a section is that we are all not just your peers, the other students, but also your professors. Like I was saying, I have a pretty diverse background. I'm able to teach on multiple skills and multiple levels, and most of the professors teaching this will be able to as well. So you might say, well, I'm not quite a specialist just yet, and that is, I think, expected of everyone that's, you know, a rising senior. You're not necessarily a specialist. You may know what you want to specialize in, or you may think you know, and that might change, you know, every week or in 6 months, or when you get that dream job, which turns out to be a nightmare, or whatever. It's good to keep an open mind and understand that the multiple skills you have, the multiple points of interest, the multiple things that you want to do and enjoy doing are all valid as long as the work is high enough quality. So one of the things that we like to say around here is that you don't need a portfolio to get in, because we're a CUNY school and we're open to all, but you definitely do need a portfolio to get out. Another way to think about your portfolio is to think of it as your greatest hits, that you've been, you know, you've been making this work all along, and some things you did really well on, something that you don't like, some things you didn't do well on that you loved, and there was a grave injustice. And then there's all the stuff in between there, the things that you know, worked really hard on and got a good grade on. Not to mention your own personal interest and stuff you've done for hire, for work, for your internship, etc. The idea is that you are going to collect all of these things, you're going to edit them, and you're going to, and that's the next thing, help yourself by finding all your old projects and organizing them. You're going to collect everything, you're going to find all those old USB drives, you're going to find the old hard drives, you know, search your open lab, all the classes that you've taken, all of the projects that you've done, all the sketchbooks that you've filled over the years, and you're going to go through them and really try to find the greatest hits, find the best pieces. And some of these pieces might be a one-off. If you took maybe the advanced illustration class and you did the New Yorker cover assignment, the magazine cover illustration assignment, that might be one piece and it's a standalone. But let's say you also did a copywriting class or an advertising class, and you have a whole campaign which has 15 pieces in it, but it's really one project. So a lot of the questions that I get, and this will be on the next one, but there's always the question of how many pieces do I need in my portfolio? And it's not about the individual pieces, it's about the quality, not the quantity. In addition to your portfolio, and at this point, it's 2021, everyone needs to have a website. Where that website lives is going to be up to you. There's a whole host of different hosts of templated, you know, kind of WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, templated, you know, where you can modify things like Adobe Portfolio, which if you have an Adobe subscription, Adobe Portfolio comes with that. So it's not quite free because you're already paying for it, but you're already paying for it. Let's see what else. There's, you know, Wix is another one that a lot of people use. Squarespace, which has e-commerce built in if you want to have set up a shop for yourself. So these are all things to think about. In addition to your portfolio website, you're also going to need to make a resume set, which includes a resume, a business card, cover letter. And I actually a lot of times say in a cover letter is good to have, but these days almost everything is email. So emails are a little less formal, but still needs to be professional. But you should really think about writing an about me, about yourself. And like David saying in the chat, branding yourself. All of these things should look like they come from the same studio. Studio Eli, Studio David, Studio Wooly, Studio Getz. Everybody in this Zoom today, you are your own brand, you are your own studio. Even if you get a full-time job, you're still running a small business in a way. And you know, if a lot of you are like me and the other professors here, I basically, no matter how much I was working at a full-time job, I was always freelancing. So freelancing is a small business, it's running a small business, and you need to think about yourself as a small business person. And you need all of these things as a small business to promote yourself, and to promote your brand. You will need to have a website, but a printed portfolio is not required anymore. But it's not like it's not prohibited. You can definitely make a print portfolio if that's what you want. Obviously, in times of COVID, print portfolios are and business cards as well are less less frequently used, but that's not to say that they won't come back in fashion when we're all vaccinated and COVID is in the rear view. The semester finishes with a portfolio review with professionals and people from industry. A portfolio review is somewhere between a critique, the way we've always done critiques, and an interview. So it's a low stakes interview, meaning you're not necessarily interviewing for a job, but you are talking to a professional who you may or may not have ever met before. So there's going to be some nervousness. There's going to be some, maybe some awkward silences or maybe not, depending on how savvy you are. But the most important thing that, in addition to the work itself, in addition to the quality of the work, in addition to the deliverables, right, the website, the resume set, in addition to those, one of the things that you really need to do is to work on getting comfortable speaking about yourself and your work. It ties right back into marketing and selling yourself as a brand, or thinking of yourself in that way, because you need to be able to sell yourself in an interview. You need to sell yourself to a client. You need to sell the work that you make and the quality. This is, you have, if you don't believe in your work and you can't speak to that belief to other people, to literally anyone, you know, then you might not have as much success. So try to get comfortable, try to think about what that means to speak about your work, to speak about yourself as a professional. Let's see the next one.
Quick interruption.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get involved with your critiques, your presentations in class. This is a great
Mhm.
opportunity to use the classes to prepare for the reviews, which prepare you for interviewing. So jump in the game, present. Again, you're selling yourself, you're selling your designs. Each time it becomes more comfortable. I know it's hard to believe, but I was a shy kid. You can do it.
I still am a shy kid, which may be hard to believe. I still get, every semester before the first classes, I always get incredibly nervous and very sweaty, and I don't sleep the night before and everything else. But I get out here and I do it, and it does get easier to do these things, and you know, it might always be a little bit awkward or uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more you'll be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And speaking about your work to strangers is something that's not exactly an easy thing. Asking for money from somebody you've never met before, you know, I'm going to make something for you, give me money, is basically what it comes down to, right? And being comfortable with doing that, with that transaction, is a really, it's a step that everyone needs to make as a professional creative. So the structure of the class, there are 6 group meetings where everybody meets, at least 6. So the first 2 weeks for intro and setting the ground rules and getting everybody on the same page, and then 2 for midterm presentations, and then 2 at the end for final presentations. On top of that, there's also the portfolio review, which the portfolio review is an invite only for, you know, the best of the best, basically the best portfolios, the highest performing students. Students in between those group meetings, students will meet one-on-one with their advisor every week. And that's basically, it's structured kind of like an independent study, which is very similar to senior project, where you are responsible for making sure that every time you have an appointment with your professor, you have something new to show him or her, that you have new work to share, that you have progress, that you've done research on companies you're going to be applying to, that you have updated your website, that you have updated the work that was B+ work, but something you knew could be an A if you just, you know, put a little polish on it. One thing, that third point here, is who is your portfolio for? This is another way to really kind of frame and contextualize this whole process, is to think about who the audience is. Who should you have in mind, and where do you want your work to be? And a lot of that is like, where do you actually want to work, and what kind of work do you want to do? The old adage, you know, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Your portfolio should reflect that as well. Your portfolio should have, if your portfolio only has freshman year typography work, then you're only going to get freshman year typography type of jobs, right? So the work that you want to be doing, the jobs that you want, if you want to work for, you want to do character design for for Rockstar Games or something like that, then you need to look at Rockstar Games and see the quality of work that they have, and your portfolio needs to look like that work. If it doesn't, then why would they hire you? You know, they can hire sometimes on potential, but that's a rare thing. I already said this other point, you need to be comfortable talking about your work, but tooting your own horn is a really good thing. It's, again, something that not all of us are entirely comfortable with, but it's something that you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable with talking about your own work and promoting yourself. Saying, you know what, this is something I'm actually good at. This is something that, you know, I do believe you should give me money for being awesome at this. Another thing to think about is, how do you find jobs? And then once you get a job, how do you keep a job? Which is a really, you know, not there's so much emphasis put on the search and getting the job, but then once you get the job, how do you keep the job? And that means, you know, hitting your deadlines, showing up on time to work, being a good coworker. Is, you know, everybody laments doing group projects in school because they're such a pain, and there's always that person you don't want to work with. But literally everything you will do once you leave City Tech is going to be a group project for the rest of your career, unless you go live in a, you know, in a cave in the hills or something like that. So being a good coworker, being a good collaborator, being, you know, kind and generous in ways that you can be, being a good communicator, above and beyond all of that, being able to communicate about your work, about your point of view, being able to understand where other people are coming from as well. Really important, really important. These are the soft skills. So some FAQs for portfolio. What if my work falls under more than one discipline? Select a section that most closely relates to your work. If you're interested in illustration, but you also want to do logo design and branding, you know, think about which one is which one is more appropriate, which one, you know, do you have more work in, or like I was saying a second ago, which job do you want to have more? If you want to focus more on illustration, then sign up for the illustration one. I have the illustration section, but I spent the morning talking to a couple of students about branding and logos who are in that illustration section. Yeah, and if you need help, ask for an advisor. Yeah, because I'm available. Actually, I'll type my email into the chat right now so everybody can have this. If you're not sure and you want a little help, you know, a little guidance, a push in which direction, like, oh, I think I should apply for this section, but I'm not really sure. Ask one of us. Ask a professor that you trust, and you know, guaranteed we will all be really happy to help you and help you give that direction, help give you that direction. Can I use work from my classes, from freelance, personal projects, group projects? The answer to all of these things is yes, all of the work, but only the best work. Just make sure you give every piece the proper context. If it's a group project, like I said, everything you do after you get out of school is a group project. So if you work for Coca-Cola doing, you know, marketing design, you know, obviously if you put the Coca-Cola logo on your website, people aren't going to be like, oh, you designed that? Like, no, people know. But, you know, so you give it context. You say, I did these, you know, this Instagram campaign with an influencer or something like that. You have to give the work context. So think about, you have to write a little bit. This is another communication thing. You're communicating about your work. Do you have to code your whole website? No, you don't have to code your whole web. If you're a web designer, maybe you should, because that's a skill that you should showcase. That's something you should be highlighting about yourself. But there are tons of great services, like I was saying, Wix, Squarespace, Adobe Portfolio, Cargo Collective, and so many of them have really geared themselves towards creatives. So there are a lot of options out there. And your professor, whoever you have for portfolio, should be sharing those kinds of resources with you, but start doing the research yourself now. I mean, WordPress, or like I was on an Illustrator site yesterday that was powered by Tumblr. I didn't even know Tumblr was around anymore, but you can use so many different platforms to power your website. It's just, you know, again, making sure that it looks great and that the work that's on it looks great. Portfolio review, I talked about what a portfolio review is. Another one that I always say, I usually say this the first, second, and, you know, third weeks of class, is never try to hide something in your portfolio. Never try to, you know, fill out the portfolio with fluff work that's not quite up to snuff. Because if you have to apologize for anything or over explain anything, then it shouldn't be on the website, or it needs to be updated. So that's kind of my last little bit of, that's it. I think that's it for me. Yeah, the next one
Great.
is senior project. So I'm going to mute myself and hand this over. We'll have a whole big Q&A at the end of this. So if you have questions, you can write them into the chat now, and we'll kind of log them and answer them at the end. or just write your question down and you can ask us all at the end when we get to the Q&A. All right, handing it over to Professor Woolley. Thank you.
Hey guys, so I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about Senior Project. Just a little bit about me first. I teach in the illustration program, so if you register for Illustration Senior Project, you might have me. I also have taught several of you guys for drawing as well as the foundational illustration courses. I'm also an advisor, so if you have any questions regarding illustration or regarding Senior Project, or maybe you just kind of want to learn a little bit more about some of your career options of drawing for a living, please email me and I will, when I'm done speaking, type my email into this chat. So it's great to follow up a portfolio with Senior Project, because as Professor Eli was saying, you know, your portfolio is your crown, right? Like that's your greatest hits album. So the gem that's right in the center of the crown, the track that has the radio play constantly, that's your Senior Project. That's the one that you want out there in the world, getting you the job you want. So when you think about Senior Project is not a class. You have to register for it like it is a class, but it is not a class. It's better to think about it as a race. Senior Project is a race to complete a semester-long self-guided project. So when you walk in the door of Senior Project, the best thing you can do is have a great idea ready to go, right? So you can already start working in week 1. You have 1 semester to complete this passion project, this project that you really, really care about, and that also is going to highlight all of your best qualities. The way that we run Senior Project is that it is a series of individual meetings with your advisor, right? So you would have this amazing idea and you present a proposal for that idea. So essentially you're presenting, here's the finish line I'm trying to get to. And then your advisor is going to act like a coach and help you get to the finish line. But you need to figure out what the project is. Your advisor will not figure that out for you. You need to come in with that project established, right? You present a proposal. Once it's accepted, you would meet one-on-one with your Senior Project advisor. You would also have several group meetings, 5 group meetings, where you would be presenting work in progress to your peers. However, your advisor is not the person who decides your Senior Project grade. Again, think of this less like a class, more like a race, right? Your advisor, your art director, something along those lines. But you know, if I'm your advisor, I'm not the one who decides if you pass or fail. It is decided by committee. We all get a vote. And the rubric is available on day 1. So you can look and see exactly how you will be graded. Senior Project, completely transparent from week 1, how it's graded, what we're going to be looking at, right? It's reviewed and graded by a committee. And then from that point, you would either pass, and I think all of you guys are going to pass, of course, or you would repeat Senior Project, because you ain't getting out of City Tech without a portfolio and without your Senior Project. The prerequisite, of course, is Design Studio. So you should have had a little bit of time preparing project proposals before. So something to consider is, where is your Senior Project going to live? So just like Professor Eli was talking about how, you know, your portfolio, you're constructing thinking about the job that you want, not the job that you have. Your Senior Project is something that you are putting an incredible amount of work into. It houses all of your passion and all of your skills, and you should have an idea of where it's going to go once the semester is done. What job is it going to get you? What company would like to look at that portfolio? Is it going to be published somewhere? But Senior Project does not end with the grade. Senior Project ends with you putting yourself out there in the world. Right, can you keep moving? Or am I clicking through? Eli, can you move me on to the next slide? Thank you. So yeah, so when you're thinking about it, think about something that truly interests you and that you're passionate about. This is, for a lot of students, this is the hardest course. because of the fact that it is self-guided and you really need to spend so much time working on this one project. So my very best advice is pick something you would do for free. Pick something that, you know, you'll be doing whether or not it's for a class, whether it is a story you've always wanted to illustrate, it is a cause that you really care about, but this should be something that is unique unto you. Nobody else could have come up with it, and it's something you really, really care about. We will be looking both at your final project as well as all of the research and sketches that took you to this conclusion, right? So we look at your process in what we call a process book, as well as the final product. And so as you're thinking about a possible project, and hopefully a few of you guys right now are busily writing down some ideas for possible projects to run by an advisor, that's a good thing to do with your advisor. Talk to them about senior project. Hey, I have these 5 ideas for great projects. What do you think, right? You know, you shouldn't be coming up with this stuff alone. And when you're ready to write your proposal, you should be thinking what, why, and how. So what is the proposal, right? What is the project? Why does it matter? How are you going to accomplish it? Can we keep going? Right. So if you have, and this is sort of like frequently asked questions, right? Lots of you guys will have projects where you're not really sure which bucket it's going to fall into, right? It's character design, but I might want to animate it, right? These projects are complicated. The best advice I can give you is, you know, and also the more unique your project is, the more likely you're going to have trouble figuring out if it's graphic design or if it's web or if it's illustration. Best advice I can give you is you are going to select the section that most closely relates to your project. And if you're not sure as to which section that is, you're going to want to talk to an advisor about it, right? That's what we're for. We already have all of the section numbers are already up there. I think that's going to be visible on another slide, but those are already available for you to choose from. When you're registering, you need to make note of the section number that most closely relates to your project. It is important that you know which section your project fits into when you're registering. It's also important to know that you cannot register for senior project without permission from an advisor, right? We need to approve it. So when you're done with this presentation, you might want to go ahead to that advisement website and, you know, schedule an appointment so you can get the permissions you need to register for class. All right. We are not going to be writing permissions at the end of this this Zoom. So a couple of other little things. Can you use a project from a previous class? Nope, you can't. Senior project, it's a brand new project and a brand new idea. All right, so no rehashing something from a previous semester and putting a spin on it. And also client work. Since senior project is graded by a committee, we discourage client work. You can't have two different bodies telling you what to do. So if your client is telling you, yeah, I like that character design, and I'm your advisor and I'm saying, oh, that character design has some problems, who are you going to listen to, right? So no client work for senior project.
Little tidbit, the client doesn't always choose the best offering.
Often doesn't.
And that's why you don't want terrible client work in your portfolio. You don't want.
No, you don't. So also, if you're considering senior project next semester, the best thing you can do, look at some senior projects, right? The best ofs are all already up. We have both fall 20 and spring 20 are available for you to peruse, and there are some absolutely beautiful projects. So I would spend some quality time on the senior project website and look at all of these examples for inspiration, all right? And that's basically what I have for you for senior project. But I'd also like to encourage all of you guys to go ahead and make an appointment to ask your questions and to maybe run by myself or any of the other advisors some ideas that you're chewing on now that you think might make a good senior project. All right, good luck. I think the next person for internship would be Professor Getz.
Thank you so much, Professor Woolley. Okay, well, some of what I'm going to say about internship builds on what Professor Eli said, and also what Professor Sarah said. So I am going to take I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to move right to the internship coordination page. So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And the reason why I want to bring it right up for all of you is that this is really what's created. It's for be your one-stop shop for resources about an internship. And I have a chat coming on. Basically, one of the things that I wanted to let all of you know is that you need to think of this internship as your first stepping stone for the job you want upon graduation. And I do say that, the job you want. So there needs to be a connection between your portfolio that you have and your resume and that job that you want. The department doesn't place you in an internship because it really is about you finding your path and what you want. And we do act, I will act, as will Professor Nicolau, who also teaches internship, as a mentor and coach in the same way that your senior project instructor acts as a mentor and coach. But it is your career. And so we provide the opportunities and the resources for you, and we will work with you. But I'll give an example. If you want to do animation, for example, and you come to me and you say, I want to do animation, then one of the things that I will ask you to look at is then to see your portfolio. And if I don't see examples in there of animation that you want to show, then it's going to be very difficult for you to send your resume out to Titmouse Animation, for example, for their summer internship, because they're going to want to see that work. So I want to make sure that all of you think carefully, right? When you come and to this, really, this is capstone class, as of are all of these that we're talking about today. And so you need to think about this and think about when you take that class. And maybe if you don't have your portfolio ready yet, or not to where you want, then maybe you wait and take portfolio before you take internship. However, if you're a student who already has a portfolio, maybe you worked at the CUNY Service Corps already, as I know one of you is already doing in this session, and you're ready, then internship becomes your next step. You have work to show, you already have a portfolio that you've shown. And so you come and you don't necessarily have to take portfolio first. You could go right to an internship. So let me explain to you about how the internship site is set up. The homepage is the job board. So if you scroll down on the homepage, I will give announcements all related to internship. So key highlights for all of you on this, if you're enrolling in internship for summer or fall. The CUNY Culture Corps applications are now open. They're paid one-year internships. You have to have a commitment. I give you the site and the information for how to apply, all right? The Brooklyn Navy Yard Summer 2021 internships are now open. So if you're thinking of 4,900 for the summer, these are 8-week paid spots. They are 35 hours a week. And these are great spots, but the time to apply is now. I believe the deadline for this is the 12th. So we're really right up against the deadline. However, usually they extend that a little. But definitely if you have a resume, this is a thing you should move on immediately, of course. The CUNY Culture Corps has a little longer in March to get that application off. Now, but there's also summer internships with company ventures. That's another spot. So all of these are there for you, and do take a look at it. Now, there's others coming up below the announcements. So the homepage has announcements about internships. For example, the One Club had a recent video about how to get an internship. That's on the homepage. The other place on where to find an internship goes through all the site resources that I've compiled for you. And City Tech Professional Development Center. The Professional Development Center is the career counseling center for City Tech. So they're your first place to go. They do handle multiple employers. They also have a job board on Simplicity where they work with employers. All of you should be on that job board. And if you click on this, it will take you to to another link. I have the links for the Professional Development Center and also their job board. If you don't know how to get on, you've forgotten your password, it's linked with your ID, you can ask the PDC in email to help you with that. But I have lots of other resources for you on here. I do have Save the Internships, with Professor Rivera works with, and if you are recommended by one of your professors, you can put your portfolio and your resume up there and try to find something with one of their employers. There is also design and media career sites. There are a whole set of links under here. From Coreflot to Behance has a job board, lots of different places. AIGA has a job board. So you can click on that and pull up a whole series of links and job boards. A great site to look at on that is a site, Angel Co., which is startups. They often have internships listed. And if you're a person who's very entrepreneurial, a startup may be a place to go. So it also has a list of idealist.org, which is all nonprofits. And all the nonprofits post their internships on there. LinkedIn is another spot that you should be on. When it comes to internship, LinkedIn is not only where you should look for internships, but it's also where you should be widening your network. Internship and finding an internship is all about networking. And you should be networking with your fellow classmates. They're in internships right now. We place students all the time at Brooklyn College. I have interns there right now. Maybe you want to work for one of their departments, whether there's the publications department, it's Brooklyn, it's local. They have some very good experience when they work for Brooklyn College. And so you can learn about that from your fellow students. We also have a ComD employer list that you can go over with myself or Professor Nicolau, where students have already worked at this company. We have their supervisor, and you can write a networking email to see if they'd like an internship another City Tech intern coming up for the summer or the fall. So this is really everything that I've tried to provide for you. I also do have some portfolio and resume resources. You just click on that link. And then also some FAQs about internship. Read through the FAQs, really go ahead and take some time to read through after this session, because I've tried to answer all the questions I get. And then if it's not answered, then definitely email me. I'm also available during my office hours, always, which are Wednesdays between 11 and 1. And that's one of the things I encourage people to do, to come to me to talk about internship. Bring all your thoughts. And if you don't have a resume as yet, that's okay. But ultimately, that's what we'll work towards. Professional Development Center also has people that will work with you to develop a resume. So I'm definitely hopeful that all of you, after taking a look at this, will have a better idea of what kind of spots you might want. The goal really, as Eli pointed out, is sort of to think of yourself as your own brand, in essence. And part of that brand is figuring out, well, where do I want to start my career? Do I want to start it at a small place? Do I want to start it at a medium-sized company? Maybe I want to be in a bigger company. Do I like the idea of an agency? Do I like the idea of more of a corporate setting? Have I always been interested in magazines? And so maybe I then do want to work for a publisher and help them go even more digital, as they're all trying to be. So I think that's the challenge for all of you with regard to internship, is trying to figure out exactly what it is that you want, getting your work together so that you have a portfolio to get that job that you want, and coming up with your resume, which is your one page that you can go to an employer with, that has your portfolio link on it, your LinkedIn contact information, and all the other things that a resume would have. And I don't want any of you to be too intimidated by the fact that when you read a job description, you don't have every single bit of experience or skill set that they ask for. Job descriptions always ask for more than they could ever expect in an intern. As long as you have a reasonable amount of the skill sets that they're asking, you should apply and then talk about how your skill sets can match what their job description is and what you can do for them and why you want to work for them. This is a big thing. Why do you want to work for a particular company? That's one of the number one things you can bring to the table as an internship is enthusiasm for the company and their mission, and then show how your skill sets and what you know can help them move their business forward, whether that's a nonprofit or whether that's a company that is selling fashion shoes, sneakers, or whatever that is. So that's really what I wanted to say about internship. But then I'm going to stop my share here for a second. Actually, no, I'll just continue. And does everyone see the advisement site?
Yes.
Here? Okay, great. So advisement is coming up for summer and for spring. And so if the internship site is a one-stop shop for finding an internship, then advisement is your one location and source to find out information that's important for registration and for figuring out how do I apply for graduation, all these things. So I want to start here under advisement with the advisement sheets. These advisement sheets that we have up here are crucial because what they're going to do is they're going to tell you what it is you need to be taking if you are, and all of you should be with the senior orientation, right? So this covers the associate degree, the first page, and all your gen ed requirements, and goes through those key requirements that you need. All right. Now, many of you who are on this call will already have covered our COMD foundation level major requirements. But your gen ed core, I want to address. Most of you that are here will be in our BFA. All right. I know at least one of you wants to switch into the BFA. So let me talk about some of the highlights, right, of our BFA now, as opposed to what our BTech was. The most important thing on the gen ed side of the house is that all of our students need to take 3 art histories for their BFA. Now, those art history sessions will be any art history that is listed on the site in your on the advisement page, and also in your degree audit. It gives you a list on there. But the key I wanted to make sure is that because we also need 2 WIs in the associate level and also in the bachelor's level, that those classes, a couple of your art histories, it would be good if you overlap them with a writing intensive. Usually we have every semester, the gen ed will offer writing intensives in a couple art history classes. Usually it's history of graphic design has a section that is writing intensive. And also we often see that with history and appreciation of photography. Please check when you're doing your registration and search for course attribute WI when you're looking for the art history classes. And if you do that, you'll get the sections that are WI for that semester. Not all sections of history of graphic design, for example, will be writing intensive. At the upper level, you have strategy classes, and then you have skill classes. And so there's where we have play in terms of what you want to decide. But the key is this information is on this particular page. And so you should definitely take a look at this page, and you can look at page 1 and page 2 on here. You can flip this under here if you go here and get to page 2, and then it gives you all your course options. We also have the other important section on this site, which is really important, is the office hours. When can you meet with an advisor? Because after you've come here and you've figured this out, here's where our office hours are. There's our link to go in and where all exactly the dates and times for each particular advisor, right? The other thing is preparing for advisement. That's another part of this particular page that you should check out. Okay, that's my brief overview of the advisement site. end of internship. If you have any questions, please email me. And thanks for coming.
Great, thank you. So how many of you are like, oh my God, I got all this stuff to figure out? You went from taking classes to, I got to figure out the rest of my life. I got to put a portfolio together. I got to figure out a senior project. I got to get my own internship. Anybody out there? Am I the only one?
Out.
All right, don't worry about it. We have some great professors here to help you figure it out. Look at it as an opportunity, okay? You don't have to have everything figured out at once. None of us did, okay? We went to school, we figured out what we liked what we did, we got into the profession, you figure it out. And there's great professors here to help you. And, you know, it's just be okay with not knowing and look at it as an opportunity for you guys to figure out what you like. Do you like motion graphics? Is that something you're geared towards? Do you like illustration? Is that the thing? And then with these capstone courses, as you're figuring it out, it's an opportunity to go out and get an internship. I tell all my students, we live in New York City. Professor Eli brought up Rockstar. I would love to work for Rockstar. They're in Chelsea, okay? Figure out what you like, what you enjoy, follow those companies. They post their internships online. You have all these resources, talk to us, you know, let us help you.
Yes, actually, it's a real follow-up. If you have a company that you've always followed, and I always give an example, I had a student who always wanted to work for Etsy. They have a careers page on the Etsy site. That's where their internship site is
They're in
posted.
Dumbo.
Or absolutely, and they every semester, and there's plenty of Titmouse Animation that I mentioned before, Rockstar Games. They do post their internship sites, but you do, you know, this is where you do have to have a portfolio, right? That will want to catch their eye. So if you're interested in that, the student that I had that worked for Etsy, she prepared for 6 months before she got into Etsy. So it is something to think in advance of. I also want to mention something else very important, that since registration is coming up, and that is what our summer course offerings are. Sarah, can you share that BFA slide deck?
Absolutely. Just one moment. Sorry.
That's okay.
I had the BFA gallery show one queued up.
So all these companies are here in New York, and then also the industry is definitely going viral. So if there's a company in California, I have clients in California that I've never met. In Colorado, it's only through Zoom. You can work anywhere in the world and get internships anywhere in the world. And then securing an internship at one of these places that you're interested in being a part of, that you get in there, you network. And that's what it's all about. And that's how you find out, well, maybe you find out, well, that's not really what I had in mind, but you find out through an internship. So develop your networks, go out there, stalk people on Instagram, you know, I mean, stalk people professionally, follow them on Instagram, see who's winning awards, who the art directors are, you know, chat them up.
Guys, the One Club is running a ton of events for internships right now, and for all kinds of, so is the AIGA. I do post these things on the Facebook page and also on my advisement, my communication design internship coordination site. If you join the internship coordination site, you do get those announcements as you go. While Sarah's pulling up the deck, I did want to mention summer courses that I know are being offered this year are internship. We also have, I believe, a communication design theory course that's being offered. You're going to see that come up. And there are some other courses that'll be offered this summer. Watch for what's offered this summer, because of course, if you take a summer course and your advisement, your financial aid allows you to do so, that is one less course than you have to take at the same time as you're taking perhaps portfolio and senior project and things like that.
Tanya, just a quick interruption. Are you seeing my screen? Because I pulled up the summer course deck.
Oh, nope, I'm not. There we go.
Oh, we are.
Okay, so
Yeah.
summer 2021.
Thank you.
No problem.
Glad you asked that. Yes, there we go. Communication design theory. It's a writing intensive course and it's being offered. And if you could go to the next slide. Yes. All right. figure drawing and photography 2. So that's another course all of you may want to consider. If, especially those of you who are in this session, it's the ComD, photography 2 that you'll want to look at. All right, the next one. This one, May 28th to July 19th, is, these are all, most of you have probably taken all these courses, but again, look, if you haven't and there's something that you don't have yet, you should definitely take a look at that. And then let's look at what's online for the 7-week session. Photography 2, once again, right? And Design Studio. So those of you on here, that's a course if you haven't taken, you should consider. And then Design Team 4701, and then again, internship. And all of those, as I said, you just need to check with your own financial aid advisor or financial aid itself, email, to make sure that you're, if you do get financial aid, that summer courses are covered for you. Okay. One, raster and vector graphics. All right.
Yeah, to that point, you want to take design team before you take senior projects and portfolio and internship, probably.
Yes.
Be careful of, I've had students that try to get too much into one semester and it becomes overwhelming. So be careful, especially with senior project, because that's a lot of work. And you probably want to knock out your internship before senior project. But
Whenever we advise, basically my advisement for students always says to separate senior project out as much as possible. If you cannot take it concurrently with a bunch of other classes, you will do better. There's no amount of hours we can tell you senior project's going to take. So you should be trying to give yourself as much grace as possible. Maybe don't do it with the internship and the portfolio. That seems,
yeah, it's not a good plan. And the other thing I want to make, it's on my FAQs, but guys, one of the things I allow in order to help students is I do allow you to bring hours in from summer into fall or from winter into spring internship, up to 60. So if you started your fall internship in August, you could bring up to 60 hours in. You do have to be taking, though, doing your internship at the same time as taking the internship course, at least 60 hours of it. And on that note, I think I'm going to, I think these are all, again, things that are happening in fall, right? That your summer classes would have, you have additional classes in summer that would allow you to take others of these. These are new courses: storytelling for creatives, brand strategy for creatives, creative project management, principles in motion design, and then special topics in graphics design. All right.
I also want to remind people that senior projects, you want to be able to breathe and focus on senior projects and not have any other stresses in your life, because that's the cornerstone of your portfolio. And ideally, that's where you're going to go after you graduate from City Tech, is in that direction. So you want to put as much energy as possible into that. All the while, internship is very important. It's a great networking opportunity, and you're on the court. You're no longer in school figuring it out. You're actually working in the environment, seeing how it works. Professor Getz brought up all those different scenarios. Is it a small shop? Is it a midtown, huge international company? I recommend to my students you freelance around as much as possible to see what works for you, because there are all sorts of environments to work in.
Absolutely. And a great question to ask your advisor, just sort of looping back to summer and fall. A great question to ask is, hey, I want to make as much room for senior project as I can. What courses would you recommend I take during the summer to help alleviate the burden, right? So if you're taking design team and you could take internship, then you have managed to condense your time at City Tech, right? Or maybe catch up if you fell behind at some point during the last year, and give yourself the room to do the best possible job you can on all of those classes by not taking them all at the same time. All of you guys should be figuring out which summer course can I register for. All right. I think I'm on the agenda to go on to the gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You guys also probably know me as the Grace Gallery Director. That just means that I'm the voice that keeps saying, contribute pieces to gallery shows, right? And so the Grace Gallery has moved online because of the pandemic. Several of you guys contributed to, to our BFA show last year, which was all online. Reasons why you would contribute to a gallery show. This is your portfolio again. These are pieces that you're going to put into your portfolio. These are things that when you get into an exhibition, you win an award in an exhibition, then you add that to your CV, you add that to your resume, and you tell this to every person that you can possibly brag to so that you can get that amazing internship, so that you can get that amazing job. All of the things we're talking about dovetail together. So this semester, you have 2 opportunities to get your work in, right? And the same work can be used for both. So the first call for entry is coming up really shortly. It's an exhibition themed around the visionary author, photographer, musician, director, Gordon Parks. It's hard to, to even say how incredible, like how much his work has influenced us. This should be something that should be somewhat familiar to you guys and have been approached by some of your other professors in class. If not, you can go ahead and do one quick Google search and then you can be overwhelmed by the breadth of work that he created. So that exhibition is open to all works, big or small, that is inspired by the work of this creator. So looking at a photograph and then taking your own piece that, that's representative, creating a comic that is themed around some of the same themes that Parks approaches with his work. This is very broad and it is up to you guys to interpret as designers and artists. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to apply. But the important thing for you to know here is you can apply both through classes, right? Through your professor. Professors will submit a whole class's work, or you can submit on your own. Both of these submissions happen through the Grace Gallery website, okay? The second opportunity you have to exhibit your work is going to be through the BFA show. So again, we are having our 2nd annual BFA show, and you get to submit the best work that you created this academic year into all of the different categories that you are applying for senior project in, right? And the same work can be used for both shows. If you created some incredible work in class, you can go on ahead and submit it into the BFA show. And this is a great chance for you, again, to win awards, to be able to get bragging rights, but also to win prizes, because the ComD 365 Fund is funding both of these shows. So there are cash prizes for student entries. So again, this is one of many, many inspirational photos that you should take a look at for the Gordon Parks show. Faculty are not allowed to contribute work. So all of you guys who are thinking that you're going to get to, sorry, David, you can't. The only way faculty get to contribute their work to this incredible show is going to be through a faculty competition. So we're going to be creating the work in front of you, and then you guys will be helping to choose the best work that actually gets to be in the exhibition. I'm petrified of this idea, just so you know. I have total stage fright. So you guys can laugh at me and my stage fright while I try. Professor Prusco is going to be organizing this.
You can laugh at us. It's a guaranteed a good time. All right.
But yeah, you guys get to heckle or cheer
Look
us
over
on.
our shoulder, see how the sausage gets made. And
Yeah.
I just want to echo, these are 2 great opportunities to get involved, and they should occur to you as opportunities. You should be like chomping at the bit. I need to get involved with this stuff. If it's occurring as work, definitely talk to us, because we'll help you transform that. And it's great stuff to put on your resume, great stuff to get involved with. And again, if it's occurring as work, please talk to us. Talk to us about any questions that you have, and get support, because I didn't have the support where I graduated from. They basically handed you a piece of paper, and I took a train ride down to New York City, and
Fly, little bird, fly.
yeah, exactly. Out you go. So there's great resources right here. You can easily get advisement. You see how you got advisement. You have our emails. Talk to us. We're here to help you guys.
Exactly. And
Thank
so on your screen right now, you see the important dates. The one you need, both of them, right? You need to be prepared to submit your work by that date. A great way to prepare your work and see if it's ready to submit is to talk to an advisor. It's always the same answer. You know, do you think I should submit this piece, right? That's a good question. Or I have these 20 pieces to submit with, you know, can you help me figure out my best ones? Those are also great questions to ask an advisor, right? And the same work that you're putting into, say, the BFA show might be work that you're putting into your portfolio. And it might be the work that you're showing your senior project advisor saying, hey, this is kind of the style I like to work in, right? So this all kind of works together. So the first one to submit to is opening on the 18th. That is a 1 week away, okay? And the submission window will be open for a full week. And if you need help, you can contact the Grace Gallery as well as an advisor to help you through the process. The BFA show, the submissions occur in April, so the 26th through the 30th again. And the BFA show is a juried show and it is a competition. All right, so not every piece gets in, only the best of the best, and only the very best get the awards.
So know the closes, okay? There's 2 closes. Also, in this industry, you not only have to work hard, but you have to work smart. So you could use the same art for both shows.
Yep.
The first show is the Gordon Park show is open, so you're in. The second one's juried, which is competitive. You'll need to know about how these work. So jump in the game, submit your work, talk to us. We'll help you figure it out. And I'll shut up. Thank you.
And win an award, right? Get some money out of it.
Put it in your resume.
Right, and if you are good enough that you get your work into one of these competition categories, we're going to be telling you you should now submit that same work outside of City Tech into other competitions. And if you're not sure about doing that, every single professor on this call right now does that for their own work. That's how we get work. So that's how you should get work. These are the competition categories. Why should you enter? We just talked about that, right? And this is the how to enter, and I'm going to also paste the URL into the chat, but you submit everything through the website. All right, guys? So I'm hoping to see lots of incredible work from you. And that's my spiel. I pass it back to Professor Prusco. You have the conch.
Great.
We have a question that came up in the chat. I'm just going to mention it. It was, is there video commercial class for fall 2021? That's from Maggie. Can we put up those slides again of summer, the offerings? I know there was a motion.
She's asking for the fall.
She's asking for the fall.
Right.
Right, but what was the motion class? I think it was fall. Principles in motion design. So you'll have to take a look at the course outline for that. And I think the best person to ask you more about, answer more questions about that class is either Professor Larkins or Professor Kapuscinski. Maggie.
And in addition to this, there are courses that are not new, but additional special topics courses, 2 of them in illustration for, that aren't actually listed here because they are not new classes, but we do have 2 special topics courses in illustration running as well.
And I just want to add that if you have questions, you can ask any of the advisors and they'll give you information. And if they can't answer it, they'll get you in touch with the correct professor. But also, if you have illustration questions, seek out Professor Woolley and Professor Eli, or motion graphics, advertising, whatever those questions are, reach out to those professors to get those answers solid. But again, everybody can help you with the questions. The first step is to ask the question. We can't help you if you don't ask the question.
Everyone who is interested in, you might make note of this, for web design classes, it's Professor Wong, who's the best person to ask. For advertising, it would be Professor Garistigi or Professor Davis. And for illustration, it would be Professor Woolley or Professor Nugaborgan. And let's see, motion graphics, I already said, Professor Larkins and Professor Kapuscinski, and graphic design, Professor Giuliani, Professor Geraldo. Am I missing anyone there? Okay, anyone else want to leap in there? And internship, that would be me for consulting. Oh yeah.
And we're here to help you, so take advantage of
Yeah.
it. There's not a limit on the amount of times you get to see an advisor. There's not some secret like calendar we have that says,
No.
oh, sorry, Jason, you've seen the advisor too many times. We're not going to help you. It could be every week. If you want to just keep showing your portfolio and go, am I better yet? How about now? You can do that.
It could be a quasi therapy session too,
Maybe not.
Great.
But it's a great way to develop your portfolio and learn the expertise, because again, these are all specific disciplines in the industry. And it's awesome that we have such a wealth of information here at City Tech.
So who's submitting to the gallery shows, guys?
I am.
I am. Come
And
on.
my class
students.
better be.
Prizes.
Yes.
Brian, you should be chiming up here, Brian.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna try.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
trying's over with, okay? You reached
Just
the
do it.
capstone classes here. Trying's over with. You just
There is
do
no try, there is only do.
exactly.
Oh, one thing to
Go on.
note, the only work that you cannot submit for any of these shows, right? For BFA show or for the park show, you may not submit your senior
In your
project.
project.
That's
Nope.
cheating. Senior project is a separate show, and we know that the work from senior project is going to be better than all of the other work. So it's unfair competition. But anything else is fair game, including the stuff that you do by yourself when nobody's looking.
Yeah, we want that stuff. That's the juicy stuff. So that's a great point. It doesn't have to be classwork. Both of them are open to your own personal artistic expressions, and everybody should be having their passion projects. These are great opportunities to develop your passion projects in addition to the schoolwork. The passion projects are an opportunity for companies to find out about who you are. And everybody here has their own story and its own mix of culture and interests, and you're all unique. These are great opportunities to show the world how you think, how you see, and who you are.
It's true. And guys, that actually comes across even on a small document like a resume. Resume is a very important one page. But for example, if you did win one of the Gordon Parks Awards for the show, you put it on your resume, right? And it's not just about putting an award on. I want to make it, but it's also someone will see that and they'll say, oh, and then they'll connect that and ask for you about that project that you did. And that's one of the ways in which you separate yourself out from perhaps all the other applications. Maybe someone who's looking at that resume really loves the work of Gordon Parks. And so they connect with someone who also loves the work of Gordon Parks. So, these are the sort of things that help you to have your own, even distinctive voice, even on a resume.
And they're great conversation starters. So if you're
Yeah.
a shy person and you just throw out that you just were in the Gordon Parks art show, like Professor Getz said, that might be the connection, and you don't have to talk anymore. That might get them, going on and asking you questions, and then it doesn't become a chore because you've broken the ice, you started the conversation going forward, and you have common interests. And if they're looking at 10 other applicants and they just connected with you over Gordon Parks, you've made an impression, and that's what it's all about. That could be the deciding factor, whether you get hired or not.
So, Niabari, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, you were about to say something. I hope I was not interrupting.
No, you go ahead. This is about you all.
Okay, I was going to say for a senior project, how many projects should one expect to work on coming into that course?
Sarah, did you get that?
Was that how many projects coming into the course or how many projects in the course?
Sorry, how many projects should one expect to work on while inside the course, while taking the course?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you. So, okay, you should expect to work on one project in senior project,
Okay.
just one. But one project could mean a 70-page concept art book about, you know, I don't know, about a family of moles that are, you know, genetically engineered. I don't know. You know, you're going to tell me what the project is, right? It can be just about it could be album art for a series of songs that are about, you know, your coming of age, because you happen to also be a singer. And so you're making your own album art and you're illustrating that, and you create this illustrated songbook.
One thing, Sarah,
It's
can
all
I
one
interject?
project, but
Yeah, the one thing that I've seen consistently since I've been at City Tech is the professors that are advising and working with you on your senior project, you all, they will help you if the project has legs, they will help you expand it to the amount of work it needs to be for a full semester's project. So they'll help you with the focus, they'll help you with the expansion, they'll help you, they'll help guide you along with all of that. Like they might say, okay, this is good, but you need more here, or you need more here, or pare it down because there's no way you're going to do this in 15 weeks. So there's a lot of editing and a lot of collaboration and listening that's involved in that.
right. I mean, it's
They could
definitely
be
not
a-
one art piece. It's multiple art pieces, multiple design pieces that form one project. But you're the person who is establishing what that project is.
Okay.
And I would
So it
suggest
sounds
the
like-
best thing that you do is go and take a look at the videos we have of past student projects. Justine has one where she's talked about. Let me see if I can try to find that link, but I'll put it in the chat. But that's really a good way of learning about it.
Okay.
Right. And definitely look at the past senior projects gallery. That's a good snapshot because it's the best of the best from all different disciplines. So regardless of if you're looking at illustration projects or graphic design, you'll see what were, you know, you don't get into the gallery without it being an A-level project.
That's going to be under the gallery. I mean, the link is going to be under the gallery, right?
I'm going to post the link for you right now.
So think of senior project, you're going to be telling a story, no matter if it's design or illustration or advertising. You're going to be telling a story, and the advisors are here to keep you on the rails, and you're going to be figuring it out, like what's already been said. A lot of times in the profession, you don't know what all the answers are, but you know that you will be able to figure out the answers. So it's a progression.
So if you look in the chat, you'll see that I posted the ComD Online Senior Project. So that is our senior project archive, and it has highlights of both fall and spring 2020. If you go up to here, I'm just going to real quickly share my screen. So any of you who are taking senior project, you should get very cozy with this archive. You can sort it by the different disciplines, but I would look through all of them. And they have
Helpful.
Yeah, this will be really helpful for you to get a sense of what the scope of work is. Show project. I'm not sure why it's not letting me show the project. There we go. So you get a sense of what the project was and some highlights of the project itself right here. All right, so this is not Marla's entire project. Marla's entire project, I think, was 48 pages. But you do get a sense of some of the work that went into this particular concept art book senior project. And there are examples of as well of her process book, right? So when we say that we want to see your process, we made sure that there was some examples of process at the end of each of these, you know, these particular ones. And you can also sort by the different semesters too. So, you know, I would go spend some quality time with both. So that you are able to really get a sense of what is considered the highest quality. I'm not sure why this is going so, oh, there we go. Why it's going so slow.
And I
Right,
would just
so,
interject right here to say, I did also put in the chat a YouTube video of one student
great.
talking about her project. So you get a sense of why she picked it. Yeah. So
Right. So, you know, this is a quick pitch of what it is, and then the quality of work that came out of the project itself. I was actually the advisor on this, so I can tell you the full version of this graphic novel is 24 pages.
Mm.
And then fully colored and everything. So that gives you a sense of what the scope of work would be for a comics project. This is the standard.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. This is great. Thank you. And
Of course, of course. And again,
more.
if you come away with this from this meeting with more questions than answers,
I actually have one
then
more again.
talk to
Go
your
ahead.
advisor.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this one is for internship. So so let's say you were, I think just to be clear, you were saying that if you already have an internship, that can go into the internship class, right?
If it's still going on when you're taking internship. So for example,
Okay.
if you started an internship in August, then you could take it into fall, right? Up to 60 hours. You still need to be in the internship while you're in the class. And there are reasons for that. You are blogging about it. It's the writing intensive class, and you're writing about your internship. And you're also going to be presenting about the internship. So, you still, the internship has to be ongoing in the class, but we do allow students to bring up to 60 hours into the class. So another example would be if you were taking summer internship, so you're doing summer and you
Yeah, okay, I was going to get into that. So how would that work?
So if you were taking summer internship and you start looking now and you find something and it starts in May, then you could bring those hours into the summer internship. The summer internship class is shorter, obviously, than the other sessions. You know, it's normally 15 weeks, fall and spring. But what happens with the summer internship is even if it's the first session, we actually, students can finish up their internship in the 8 weeks. We've been allowed to do that for registrar. So it's not like you have to do your 120 hours in 4 weeks. You really can take up to 8 weeks. The grades are submitted by the end of summer session 2. Okay.
Because
Does that
I
answer?
recently, yeah, definitely. Because I recently just got an offer for summer internship, and so, and I guess I would then have to register for internship class in the summer.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay.
So you're taking it in summer, Ms. Dugwart, just on the basis of when you found an internship. Congratulations, by the way. You've done the most important thing for internship class.
Thank you.
Right.
So which means that I don't have to there is no class to like log in for the.
Oh, no, you do log into class. No,
Okay,
no,
so-
there is a class. That's something that's important that you should know. There is a class, but it's online in the summer.
Mhm.
Professor Nicolau teaches it. And so you should email with her, and, you know, there's a time period. Generally speaking, how it works is that, you know, you have some group sessions and then some sessions where you're meeting individually. Internship in general, just so everyone knows, is a hybrid class, which means that we meet as a group on Zoom nowadays, now that it's on, you know, we're in the pandemic era. It used to be we met in a classroom, but now we meet on Zoom every other week, or what sessions that we are meeting as a group. We'll meet on Zoom. And then there's some classes that are individual meetings like you would have in senior project. And then some sessions are just asynchronous. And your assignment, I already know what they are, Mike, is to go to a networking event at the One Club or something like that and blog about it. So that's how that works. So touch base with Professor Nicolau and she'll really help you to know how she structures her summer class.
Okay, because that's also like one of my worries, because the internship is full-time, 40 hours a week. And
Right. No, you can work around that.
Work.
Yep.
So she'll work. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I have a question about internship. When should be like the last minute that you apply for the summer course?
Oh, you mean when do you enroll?
No. What I mean is like when should be like the last minute that you should apply for an internship? After that's no more.
Well, really for summer, you really should be applying now. That's when a lot of summer internships. So it's really March and April that a lot of students get their summer internships. If you go into the class in June without an internship, it's possible to still get one. But, you know, it's a little harder and you would be placed maybe more with perhaps one of our employers that we work with regularly, whether that's Brooklyn College, maybe that's within City Tech and things like that. So really, you know, you would want to have one for summer because the time frame is more compressed, right? You'd ideally want to be looking now and maybe even as late as May. Some small places, especially startup companies, will still be looking in May, you know, for their interns. So does that help you with that, answer that question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One last question. What was the name again, Nicholas? To contact, sorry.
Oh, Professor Nicolau. Let me put her name in the chat. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
And I will introduce you. If you email me too, I'll like connect you both, right? Yeah, Professor Nicolau. But there she is. And it's Stella. So it would be S.
So I just wanted, while we're wrapping up, we're past 2 o'clock, and we've lost a lot of folks already. Probably people
Yeah.
had to go to classes, but I did just want to address in-person versus online teaching and learning for the fall. As of now, we are hoping to have a couple of course offerings in person. They will most likely be lower level drawing classes. Everything else is most likely, again, I can't guarantee any of this. It's still in the planning stages. You know, obviously there's a lot of concerns and a lot of, you know, logistical things that need to be considered and taken care of and all of that before we can announce anything and move forward with in-person learning. So we're hoping to have a few sections, and that relates to things like graduations, award ceremonies, and the portfolio review, which as of now, I would assume, and I think everyone can assume that these things will remain remote until, you know, for large part things open up. Obviously, we know vaccinations are moving ahead and accelerating, but not everyone has access to them, especially, you know, younger children. So, you know, there's a lot of concerns that reflect what's going on in the world as a whole, and in our city. So there is hope on the horizon, but we don't have any, unfortunately, we don't have any specific answers for that. So I would move forward with the assumption that things will be remote, unless you hear otherwise. But we're working. It's, you know, it's like you ever see the footage of a duck on top of the water and then you see its feet under the water? Comedy, there's a lot of duck feet underwater furiously churning to move things ahead and to return to in person, but you know, we all know what's been going on. So just wanted to address that. Not to have a big Q&A about it because there's so much, there is so many unknown things in it. It's not worth having a Q&A. But there was a question about graduation from Irvin. Let's go to that question, please, Irvin.
Hi, Professor Eli. I'm currently a senior. I just have a question about graduation. Like, is there a form like to apply for graduation?
It's on the registrar's page. It's on CUNY First. I'm going to put the link in for you, Irvin. You go into CUNY First and you register, but on the registrar's page, they have a whole tutorial on how to do it. So let me just go and get that for you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's it, yeah.
Thank you.
Kind of, this is, hi, professors. This is
Hi.
Gavin. Just a question, because I'm also kind of like in the same boat as Irvin, but mine's a little different. What does it mean on like CUNY First when it just mentions like on the graduation page where it says like status your application has been received? Like, do I have to do anything, or do I just have to kind of like finish the remaining courses required for the degree, so to speak?
Okay, who wants to, I'll take that. If no one, here's what I would suggest. You meet with one of the advisors to go over your graduation, your audit, just in preparation. But here's how it works. So does everyone see that I put in the chat the applying for graduation link?
Yes.
I see that? Okay. You go on, and here's the good news, guys. If you were able to apply on CUNY First for graduation, like literally the application button for you to click on CUNY First was there, that's a good sign. If you didn't see it, it meant you were there was something missing, like a whole course. So the fact that you were able to do it on CUNY First is a positive. And then there is a process that happens once you start that. You go into the student life, and that goes in for the people who let you know about cap and gowns and all those things about walking. However, but there is something that doesn't happen until the very end, which is the audit of your, to see that you met all the requirements. And that it happens after your grades are in. So one of the number one things that you should do, obviously, an advisor will not know that you're going to pass every course, but we can identify if there's something that you may have missed. But the key things that you should look at the top of your audit are that your writing intensive box is checked, that you don't have any writing intensive left over, and your interdisciplinary and all those boxes at the top of your audit, at the very top, should all be checked. But it's always good to check with an advisor just to double check to make sure everything looks good, right? And that's, and you can reach out to registrar too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Congratulations, Gavin.
Yes, congratulations.
Professor, I have a question. After you apply for the graduation, what is the next step? Do we wait?
That's for me. Yeah, you should get a response from, the offices. Did you get an email that said, yes, it's been received and things like that?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's good. So they believe there'll be follow-up emails. But if you're wondering about the timing, you should email registrar, okay? And ask, about any next steps.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jason. Everybody's graduating here? That's awesome. Well
That's
done.
also, if you have concerns, if you look at your audit, and you have concerns, if there's anything that's still in red, if that's another one, to be the broken record here. That's another one to sit down and talk to an advisor, and we are always happy to walk through it and say, okay, this is a problem, or no, you're good to go. If you just want that reassurance, every semester around this time, I feel like I sit with a few students during my office hours and just say like, no, you're good to go, or, oh, this is something we can, because we also, if there's something that is tracking wrong, if if a class you took is showing as fall through, but it shouldn't be, these are things, there are just some bugs in the system that we can also take care of. So talk to an advisor. Once again, talk to an advisor.
Yes,
It's the surest way to get the information you need and to reassure yourself that you're doing the right thing and you're on the right track.
Right. It's the refrain we'll tell you throughout this as long as we stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because every student's case is different. So we can't give blanket answers.
Yeah, don't worry about anything. If you're worried about graduation, get it flat. Even if you're not worried about graduation, I'd get it flat just to make sure you graduate, because I'm the type of person that doesn't worry about anything until there's a problem. You don't, so you want to make sure you're graduating. That's important. But if you're worrying about internship, senior project, portfolio, don't worry, reach out. Any more questions? Anybody sitting there worried about anything?
Virginia, did you get what?
This gets to the therapy portion of it that David was referring to. How's everyone's anxiety these days? Mine's pretty high.
I know, that's the one good, that's the new icebreaker now, that different people are doing. Like, what is everyone doing to get through the pandemic? Any good tips? So
I'm making art. You guys should make art. Put it in the art shows.
Right.
And submit it to the Grace Gallery.
Yes.
All right.
Definitely.
If there are no more questions, should we wrap this up?
I'm going to ask Virginia, if you're still here, did you get your question answered about summer classes?
Yeah, I got a lot from this. I have a whole doc where I wrote everything important.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up and staying and for all your great questions.
Yeah.
Of course. And again, talk to your advisor if you need extra help or any
my
of
email in
for
again.
any of the rest of this.
We'll give you a virtual hug. It'll be okay. It's all good.
And now go out and get out for a walk. It's supposed to be
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, enjoy the sun. It's gorgeous out there. That's what I'm gonna
All
be.
right.
So thank you for showing up. Thank you.
Thank
to
you,
the
David. Thank you,
professor.
Tanya.
Well
Thank you,
done.
Sarah.
Yep, thanks.
Go out and be brilliant, everybody.
Thank you all professors.
Thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
Have a great day.
Brian, I'll see you in class.
Guys, bye.
We'll see you in class.
Sarah, do you have
as
time
well,
to connect for a few minutes? Quick question.
Yeah, I'll just stay in.
Stop recording.